The moment you stop needing her is the moment she starts needing you. Most men never learn this. They chase, over-explain, and beg for clarity. They text first, double text, and wonder why attraction fades. They offer attention like oxygen, handing over power without noticing. If that sounds familiar, you are not broken. You were trained to believe effort equals love, and that belief kept you stuck. Here is the shift. You are the prize when you control your state, when you choose instead of chase, when your schedule, standards, and missions set the rhythm. Women feel that difference instantly. Calm leadership creates desire. Needy energy suffocates it. The key is not tricks. It is discipline. In this video, I will show you how power moves in silence. You will see the exact behaviors that kill attraction and the ones that rebuild it. You will learn how to hold frame in conflict, how to pass her tests without arguing, and how to let space work for you. I will give you simple language you can use tonight and daily practices that harden your composure over time. If you are a grown man who values peace more than drama, subscribe and stay with me. This will be direct, respectful, and practical. By the end, you will stop asking for approval and start choosing connection from real strength. Let's get into it. Number 1. The power shift she'll never admit. There's a quiet truth about attraction that most men never understand. The moment you stop chasing, the balance shifts, and she feels it before you do. It's invisible, but it's powerful. It's not about playing games or pretending not to care. It's about energy, attention, and how both create polarity between a man and a woman. Let's take Mark, 52, from Austin. After his divorce, he started dating again. He met Jessica, 47, a beautiful, confident woman who knew her worth. In the beginning, Mark was excited. He texted, often planned dinners, complimented her constantly. But after a few weeks, he noticed something strange. The more he reached out, the less responsive she became. The conversations got shorter. Her tone cooled. He felt confused. "What did I do wrong?" he asked. The answer: nothing, except this: he made himself too available. Jessica didn't lose interest because he wasn't good enough. She lost interest because she felt the imbalance. Women sense when a man's focus shifts from purpose to pursuit. When your world starts orbiting around her, she subconsciously steps back to see if you'll notice. That's the test. Most men fail. They react, chase harder, and lose even more power. Here's the paradox. The less you try to impress her, the more she becomes impressed. When your energy is calm, grounded, and selective, she feels your value without you having to prove it. It's the same reason silence feels heavier than words. It demands attention. A man who doesn't need her validation radiates confidence. That's what triggers attraction on a primal level. Mark eventually realized this. He stopped trying to fill every silence with messages. He went back to his gym routine, his projects, and his own rhythm. Within a week, Jessica reached out again, curious, engaged, warm. She didn't understand it, but she felt it, the shift. His energy had returned to himself, and she was drawn to it. The Stoics understood this dynamic centuries ago. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's not just philosophy, it's psychology. Control of your focus is control of your power. The man who reacts to every mood, text, or delay loses both peace and attraction. The man who holds steady, who stays unmoved, commands both. You have to understand something most people won't tell you. Women are designed to feel your inner state more than they hear your words. They might not consciously know why they lose interest, but deep down, they sense when a man's energy bends toward them instead of toward his purpose. It's not cruelty, it's biology. A man anchored in his mission makes her feel safe. A man obsessed with her attention makes her feel pressure. So, brother, the power shift isn't about control, it's about gravity. When you stand firm in your values, in your time, in your emotional discipline, you become the center of the dynamic. She rotates toward you naturally. And that's when attraction transforms into respect, the foundation of any connection worth having. If you've ever felt that shift, that moment when pulling back made her come closer, write this in the comments, "I've seen the change." Because once you master this first principle, everything else in relationships becomes easier. You'll stop fighting for attention and start commanding presence without saying a word. Number 2. How society trains men to chase weakly. Let's be honest, from the time you were a kid, you were told to be the nice guy. Be polite, be generous, be understanding. Always listen, always give. And sure, kindness is good. But somewhere along the line that message got twisted. Modern men were trained to chase approval instead of embodying strength. Society convinced you that women want to be endlessly pleased when what they actually crave is respect for your own boundaries. From movies to social media, you've been programmed with a single narrative. The man who wins her over is the one who tries hardest. He sends flowers, long texts, and sacrifices his time to prove his devotion. That's not love, that's conditioning. It's emotional weakness wrapped in politeness. And women can sense it immediately. They don't consciously reject it, they just feel no spark. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. Women are not drawn to men who seek their validation. They are drawn to men who validate themselves. When every commercial, every romantic comedy, every self-help slogan says, "Make her happy," what it's really doing is teaching you to abandon your masculine center. It trains you to think of yourself as the pursuer, never the chooser. Stoic philosophy cuts through this illusion like a blade. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The modern world reversed that wisdom. It tells men, you have power when someone else approves of you. But that's slavery disguised as romance. When you chase weakly, you trade purpose for performance. You stop acting from conviction and start acting for reaction. You send a message not through words, but through energy that you don't trust your own worth. And attraction collapses right there. Think about it, when a man's attention becomes too easy to earn, it loses all value. The Stoics understood scarcity before economics ever did. They knew that what is rare holds power, and what is given freely gets ignored. When you make her the center of your validation system, she feels the imbalance even if she can't explain it. Society's message is seductive. Be romantic, be emotional, be available. But what they really mean is, be predictable. And predictability kills mystery, which kills attraction. True romance isn't about being at her beck and call. It's about being fully present when you choose to be there. Your time, your focus, your emotional control, those are gifts. And when you protect them, she values them. The Stoic man doesn't chase, he engages. He doesn't beg for connection. He creates it by embodying stillness, direction, and purpose. This is what women secretly want, not a man who bends, but a man who stands. They test you not because they dislike you, but because they want to feel your strength. So when you hear society whisper, "You'll lose her if you don't try harder," remember the truth. You'll lose her faster if you do. Your worth is not measured by effort. It's measured by energy, calm, grounded, unshakable. Drop the conditioning. Stop chasing weakly. Because the man who stands still, anchored in purpose, always draws more than the man who runs after everything. If that message hits home, type this in the comments. I choose strength. And stay with me, because what comes next will show you how to keep that strength when the tests begin. Number 3. Frame the silent game of power. Every relationship, whether you realize it or not, is a constant negotiation of frame. Frame is the invisible boundary that decides who leads and who follows, who influences and who reacts. It's not about dominance, it's about emotional gravity. The one with the stronger frame pulls the other into their world. And most men lose power because they never learn how to protect it. Take David, 50, from Chicago. Successful in business, confident at work, but completely lost when it came to dating. He met Rachel, 45, witty, attractive, independent. From the start she liked him, but slowly, without realizing it, David started bending. He adjusted his schedule to her moods, changed his weekend plans, even softened his opinions to keep things smooth. On the surface it looked like compromise. In reality, he was handing over the frame. Here's what happens when a man's world starts spinning around hers. The polarity fades. The energy that once made her feel drawn to him turns into quiet disappointment. She doesn't hate him, she just stops respecting him. And the painful irony is he thinks he's being loving when he's really being forgettable. Frame is about inner direction. It's the calm confidence that says, I know where I'm going, you can walk beside me, but I won't change course to follow you. It's in your tone, your body language, and your emotional control. You don't argue for your point, you live it. You don't explain your worth, you demonstrate it. When David finally realized this, he made a simple shift. He stopped rearranging his world for Rachel. He told her calmly that his Sunday mornings were his time for the gym and reflection, and that she was welcome to join afterward. He didn't say it with attitude or defensiveness. He said it with composure. That was the moment the frame snapped back into place. And like clockwork, Rachel's energy shifted. She started respecting him again. She leaned back into the attraction that had faded, because now she felt his strength. This is the silent game of power. You don't win it by controlling her. You win it by mastering yourself. A man with frame doesn't react when she pulls away, doesn't argue when she tests him, doesn't chase when things feel uncertain. His calmness becomes the structure that holds the relationship together. That's what makes him magnetic. Think of it like this. A woman's emotions are like waves, beautiful, intense, and changing. Your frame is the shore she crashes against. If the shore crumbles, the waves consume everything. But if it holds firm, she finds her rhythm again. She doesn't want a man who rides her waves. She wants one who gives them form. The truth is, women test not to hurt you, but to feel you. When you hold frame, you send the message that you're not afraid of emotional storms, that you can handle her at her most chaotic moments without losing your cool, without collapsing. That's when she feels safe. That's when she feels desire. If you've ever noticed her energy shift, the moment you pulled back into your frame, the moment you stopped chasing and simply stood firm, then you already know this truth. Write it in the comments, I hold the frame. Because when you do, power doesn't come from words, it radiates from presence, and she'll feel it long before she understands it. Number 4. The illusion of equal desire. One of the biggest lies modern culture sells men is this: men and women desire the same way. That idea sounds progressive, even comforting, but it's not true. It's dangerous, because when you believe it, you start expecting emotional symmetry that doesn't exist. You expect her to feel attraction the same way you do, steady, logical, predictable. But female desire doesn't move in straight lines. It flows with emotion, mystery, and testing. And when you forget that, you start playing the wrong game. Men want consistency. Women want intensity. Men fall in love with peace. Women fall in love with presence. The illusion of equality blinds you to the polarity that keeps attraction alive. And once polarity dies, so does desire. Society teaches you to be emotionally open, to share everything, to meet her halfway. But halfway doesn't create spark. A relationship thrives on difference, not sameness. When you expect her to mirror your logic, you'll always be frustrated. She isn't wired that way, and that's what makes her fascinating. Here's what most men miss: women respond to your energy more than they initiate with theirs. When you stay calm, grounded, and mission-focused, she rises to meet your presence. But when you react emotionally, when you try to match her energy instead of stabilizing it, she feels unsafe, not consciously but deeply. Desire fades because safety disappears. This is where Stoicism becomes your compass. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." In the context of relationships, bravery means staying unmoved when emotion storms around you. It's not coldness, it's composure. The Stoic man doesn't suppress his feelings, he governs them. That's what allows her to trust his strength. Equal desire doesn't mean equal energy. Her attraction is drawn out by your restraint. Your ability to delay, to lead, to maintain direction while she moves emotionally around you, that's what creates tension. That's what keeps the spark alive long after the chase is over. Think about it. In every dynamic, one leads and one responds. That's not dominance, it's nature. When you refuse to play your role, when you demand perfect equality, both people end up dissatisfied. She doesn't feel polarity, and you don't feel respected. What most men call equality is really emotional negotiation, a quiet surrender of leadership disguised as partnership. But a true relationship doesn't need negotiation, it needs balance. Masculine steadiness, feminine flow, two forces dancing around polarity, not erasing it. And here's the truth. Most won't say out loud she needs that polarity more than you do. She needs your calm to ignite her emotion. She needs your groundedness to explore her depth. When you meet her chaos with chaos, both of you drown. But when you meet it with calm, both of you rise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's Stoic leadership in love, guiding through example, not demand. Lead the energy, don't mirror it, because when you lead, she follows. If you've ever felt the tension between wanting peace and keeping passion alive, that's the balance you must master. Equal desire doesn't exist. Complementary energy does. And if you're ready to go beyond surface-level dating advice to learn how to build real masculine discipline, control emotional power, and create relationships that inspire respect and desire, join our private Stoic membership. Inside, we break down the frameworks, habits, and mental training that most men never learn. You'll find tools that make you stronger, calmer, and more magnetic, not just to women, but to life itself. Join now, stay grounded, and keep walking the Stoic path. Number 5. 3 mistakes that kill attraction instantly. There are moments in every relationship where attraction quietly dies, not because she stops liking you, but because you start slipping into patterns that suffocate polarity. It's rarely one big mistake. It's usually small behaviors that seem harmless, but drain your masculine presence over time. Let's look at 3 of them and how to fix each before they kill her respect for you. The first is over-explaining yourself. Most men think that clarity equals connection. So when something feels off, they start explaining their intentions, their feelings, their reasons for every move. But explanation kills mystery. Take Brian, 55, from Phoenix. He started dating Lisa, 48, sharp, funny, full of life. When she began pulling back, he panicked. He started sending long texts trying to clear the air. Every message made things worse. Why? Because he was chasing emotional reassurance instead of holding emotional ground. Women don't want a man who constantly justifies himself. They want a man whose actions already speak. When you start explaining to calm her doubts, you're secretly saying, "Your emotions control me." The cure: stop defending yourself. Let your silence do the heavy lifting. Confidence doesn't explain, it demonstrates. The second mistake is trying to fix her emotions. Men hate discomfort. So, when a woman feels upset, anxious, or distant, most men rush in to solve it. They want to make it better. But emotions aren't problems to fix, they're storms to witness. When you jump in to rescue her, you teach her that your peace depends on her mood. That's not love, that's emotional dependency. Ryan, 51, learned this the hard way. His girlfriend, Melissa, would get emotional after work. He'd sit her down, offer advice, try to make her laugh. But what she really wanted wasn't solutions, it was presence. The day he stopped trying to fix and simply listened, she melted. Because finally he wasn't reacting, he was anchoring. The third mistake, and the deadliest, is losing your edge. You've seen this happen before. A man gets comfortable, stops pursuing his goals, stops challenging himself. He trades mission for maintenance. At first, she appreciates the attention, but soon she starts to feel it, that subtle drop in ambition. The man who once inspired her now depends on her energy to feel alive. Attraction dies not because she's ungrateful, but because polarity fades. The truth is, women fall in love with direction, not dependency. When you lose your sense of purpose, you lose your magnetism. That's why every Stoic philosopher preached mastery of self before mastery of others. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The same truth applies in love. The man who stops proving himself through growth becomes invisible. So how do you fix this? Simple: return to your center. Stop explaining, stop fixing, stop shrinking. Stand still in your values and let her orbit around your calm. The strongest attraction doesn't come from saying the right thing, it comes from being the right presence. These three mistakes, explaining too much, rescuing too fast, and losing your mission, all come from the same root: fear of losing her. But here's the paradox: when you stop fearing loss, you become impossible to lose. If you've recognized yourself in one of these mistakes, type this in the comments: I hold the frame. Because once you reclaim that frame, everything changes. You don't chase validation, you radiate it. And that's when attraction doesn't just return, it deepens. Number 6. Emotion, the trap that steals your strength. Every man feels it, that sudden surge of emotion, when she pulls away, when she tests you, when things don't go your way. It's the urge to react, to text, to fix, to say something that makes you feel in control again. But that's the exact moment where most men lose their power. Emotion, when left unchecked, becomes the trap that steals your strength, and it happens so fast, you don't even see it coming. Here's the truth: emotion isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. But if you let it drive your actions, it will own you. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology gave it names. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That single line defines masculine composure. Power doesn't come from controlling her behavior, it comes from mastering your reaction to it. Modern relationships are emotional minefields. The culture tells you to open up, express more, show vulnerability. There's truth in that, but only when it's balanced with discipline. The problem is men today confuse vulnerability with volatility. They believe every emotional impulse deserves expression, and in doing so, they destroy the very attraction they want to build. When you lead with emotion, you hand over your frame. You start speaking from fear, not from direction. You start trying to fix, explain, or seek reassurance, all signals of insecurity. And once she senses that the polarity shifts instantly, she stops seeing you as her anchor and starts feeling like she's in charge of your stability. Attraction turns to tension, and tension turns to exhaustion. The Stoic man doesn't repress his emotions, he refines them. He uses them as data, not commands. When he feels anger, he pauses. When he feels fear, he breathes. When he feels uncertainty, he acts with purpose instead of panic. That pause, that calm in the middle of the emotional storm, is what separates a man who leads from a man who reacts. You've seen this in action. A man who loses his cool every time she pulls back will never be trusted. But the one who remains steady when she withdraws earns her deepest respect. Why? Because emotional control communicates safety. A woman can't relax into a man who unravels. She wants to feel your steadiness, even when she's testing it, especially then. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that in relationships. Most of your emotional pain doesn't come from what she does, it comes from the stories you tell yourself about what it means. She takes longer to reply, and your mind writes a script about rejection. She seems distant, and you assume it's over. You create suffering from assumption, not fact. Stoicism teaches you to separate emotion from imagination, to respond only to what is not, what might be. The moment you stop feeding your emotions with stories, they lose their grip. You start operating from stillness, not fear. And from that stillness, your natural strength returns. That's when attraction becomes effortless, because power always flows to the calmest person in the room. Remember, this emotional control isn't coldness, it's clarity. You're not cutting yourself off, you're cutting yourself free. And when a man can stay grounded in chaos, every woman around him feels it. She might not say it out loud, but she'll feel drawn to it. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "I master my emotions." Because once you do, you'll stop reacting to life and start directing it. Number 7. Why her tests mean respect, not rejection. Every man has faced it, the confusing shift in her tone, the sarcastic comment, the sudden withdrawal of warmth after days of connection. Most men panic in that moment. They think she's losing interest or, "I must have done something wrong." But here's the truth. Most never learn when a woman tests you, it's not rejection, it's respect in disguise. She's not trying to tear you down. She's trying to see if you'll stay standing. Let me give you an example. James, 54, from Seattle, had been dating Lauren, 49, for about 2 months. Things were going smoothly, constant texting, deep talks, strong chemistry. But one night at dinner, she suddenly went cold. She started teasing him, questioning his opinions, even rolling her eyes at a few things he said. James felt blindsided. His instinct kicked in, he got defensive, tried to explain himself, and the evening spiraled into awkward silence. The next day, Lauren didn't text. James spent hours replaying every word in his head, wondering what he did wrong. But here's what really happened. Lauren wasn't rejecting him, she was testing his emotional strength. She wanted to see if his calmness was real or just an act. When he folded under pressure, she lost trust in his steadiness. You see, women test not because they're cruel, but because they're wired to seek stability. A man's emotional strength is her safety net. When she pushes, it's not to hurt you, it's to feel you. She wants to know that your calm isn't fragile, that your frame can hold even when she challenges it. When James realized this, he did something different. The next time Lauren threw a subtle jab, he didn't explain, didn't match her energy, didn't get defensive. He smiled, looked her in the eye, and calmly changed the subject. Instantly, her energy shifted. The tension broke, she laughed, and the warmth returned. Why? Because he passed the test. His composure told her, "You can trust me to stay grounded even when you're not." Every test she gives you is an opportunity to show your depth. She wants to see if your strength is real or conditional. If your patience holds only when things are easy, it's not strength, it's convenience. But if you can stay steady in the storm, she feels something rare, safety and attraction combined. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Epictetus said, "When someone provokes you, be sure that the cause of your irritation is your own opinion of the incident, not the incident itself. When she tests you, the irritation you feel isn't caused by her, it's caused by your own interpretation. You think you're being disrespected when in fact you're being measured. Women don't test the weak, they test the strong. She won't waste that energy on a man she doesn't care about. Her tests are a sign that she sees potential. She just wants to confirm if it's real. That's why calmness is your greatest weapon. When you stop reacting, you stop giving her uncertainty power over you. Remember, every test you pass deepens her respect. Every test you fail teaches you something about yourself. The key isn't perfection, it's presence. The ability to stay centered while the world around you shakes. So the next time she challenges you, don't panic, breathe, smile. Stay composed, because when you can hold your ground through her storm, she won't see arrogance, she'll see strength. If you've ever realized that a test wasn't rejection but respect, write this in the comments. I stay grounded. Because when you master that mindset, her tests stop feeling like attacks and start feeling like opportunities to lead. Number 8. The masculine calm that drives her wild. Here's a truth. Most men overlook women are not turned on by chaos. They're drawn to calm. Not the cold, detached kind of calm that hides emotion, but the grounded, masculine calm that feels like safety and control. It's the energy that says, no matter what happens, I've got this. And the paradox is, the calmer you are, the more intense her desire becomes. In today's world, chaos is everywhere: digital noise, emotional drama, non-stop demands. Everyone is overstimulated. So when a man shows up with steady energy, he stands out instantly. He's not competing for attention. He's commanding it without a word. That's the essence of masculine polarity. Calm is not passive. It's power disguised as stillness. The Stoics mastered this long before modern psychology gave it language. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, emotion doesn't control you, your judgment does. That's what separates the ordinary man from the unshakable one. The ordinary man gets lost in her moods. The Stoic man watches, understands, and responds with intention. This kind of calm isn't about repressing emotion. It's about holding it with strength. When she's upset, she doesn't need you to match her chaos. She needs you to absorb it. When she throws emotional storms your way, she's not asking for reaction. She's asking for reassurance. She wants to feel that her waves can crash against something solid. Every time you stay composed in the face of her emotion, she subconsciously feels safe and more attracted. Your calm communicates, "I won't break when you do." And that's intoxicating. It makes her trust you, respect you, and desire you all at once. But here's the part most men get wrong. They confuse calm with indifference. They think staying unbothered means staying emotionally cold. That's not calm. That's distance. Real masculine calm is presence without panic. It's listening without trying to fix. It's standing firm while still caring deeply. Women don't want emotional absence, they want emotional leadership. When you can smile through tension, speak softly when she's loud, and remain patient when she's testing you, something powerful happens. The dynamic shifts. She stops fighting for control and starts relaxing into your presence. She doesn't need to dominate because she feels your quiet strength. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And bravery in relationships isn't about aggression. It's about the courage to stay peaceful when your ego wants to react, to hold your ground without needing to win every argument. That's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It radiates. You've probably noticed this dynamic before. The men who seem to attract women effortlessly are rarely the loudest ones in the room. They're centered. They're composed. They don't rush to impress. They let their energy speak first. That's the calm she craves, not because it's mysterious, but because it's rare. In a world full of noise, peace is seductive. A man who carries stillness is a man she'll chase because being near him quiets her chaos. So remember this: calm isn't the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. And the man who masters calm doesn't chase validation, he creates desire. If that truth hits home, write this in the comments. My calm is power. Because when you embody that calm, she won't just be drawn to your presence, she'll be addicted to it. Number 9. The Stoic way to regain control. There comes a point in every man's life when he realizes he's lost control, not of his job, not of his schedule, but of himself. It's that quiet moment when you feel like her moods decide your peace, when her attention dictates your confidence, and when your emotions depend on what she says or doesn't say. That's not love, that's dependency. And the Stoic way is the exact path to take that power back. Let's look at Daniel, 53, from Denver. After a year of dating Amanda, 48, he started to feel the shift. In the beginning, he was strong, focused, confident, but slowly the relationship became his center of gravity. When Amanda pulled back, his mind spiraled. He lost sleep, checked his phone every hour, and even skipped the gym, the same gym that once gave him his discipline. His entire emotional state began orbiting around her validation. One night after another unanswered text, he caught himself pacing around his living room. That was his wake-up call. He realized he wasn't losing Amanda, he was losing himself. That's the first step of Stoic control awareness. You can't master what you refuse to face. Daniel started small. Instead of reacting every time she went distant, he took that space as a mirror. What was he feeling? Fear, ego, need. The Stoics taught that all external disturbances are just internal confusions in disguise. When you can name your emotion, it loses power. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the Stoic blueprint for emotional freedom. You can't control her tone, her texts, her choices, but you can control your reaction. And when you do, everything changes. Daniel made a rule: no reacting for 24 hours. When a message came that triggered him, he wouldn't respond immediately. Instead, he'd go for a walk, lift weights, or journal. That pause became his power. Within weeks, he noticed something strange. Amanda started chasing him. She felt his energy shift. He stopped being emotionally predictable. His calm became magnetic again. Here's the paradox: control in relationships doesn't come from dominating others, it comes from mastering yourself. The man who can remain grounded no matter what she says, does, or feels is the man every woman respects. Why? Because that kind of discipline is rare. The Stoic way to regain control is built on three principles: self-awareness, restraint, and purpose. Self-awareness keeps you honest about your triggers. Restraint keeps your emotions from driving your actions. And purpose keeps your life moving forward, no matter who stays or leaves. When you focus on your mission, her approval stops being your oxygen. You start living from abundance, not scarcity. You stop asking, "How do I keep her?" and start asking, "How do I keep becoming?" That shift alone rebalances the entire dynamic. And here's the irony: the moment you stop trying to control her is the moment she feels most drawn to you. Because a man who doesn't need to control radiates control. A man who doesn't chase radiates magnetism. Daniel didn't lose Amanda. But even if he had, he would have been fine. Because he learned something more valuable than attraction. He learned mastery. If you've ever felt like you gave too much of your peace away, write this in the comments: "I reclaim control." Because the moment you do, you'll stop living on emotional autopilot and start leading calmly, powerfully, like a Stoic man who owns his world again. Number 10. She needs your stability, not your surrender. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. She doesn't fall in love with your kindness, your gifts, or your effort. She falls in love with your stability, your unshakable sense of who you are, even when she tests, provokes, or withdraws. What draws her in isn't how much you give, but how steady you remain while giving. Modern culture has lied to men. It told you that love means surrender, that to prove your devotion, you should drop everything, make her your priority, and sacrifice your boundaries. But when you do that, something subtle but deadly happens. She stops trusting your leadership. She stops feeling your strength. You become emotionally soft, not in a vulnerable way, but in a lost way. A woman doesn't crave a man who worships her. She craves a man who can hold his ground when she's lost in her emotions. She doesn't want you to collapse into her storm. She wants to feel your calm through it. Because deep down, feminine energy seeks masculine direction. And when you surrender that direction, she feels unsafe, even if she can't explain why. The Stoics understood this balance perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. A good man isn't one who pleases everyone. He's the one who lives by his principles regardless of the pressure around him. He doesn't yield his standards for comfort, validation, or affection. He leads with presence, not persuasion. Stability in the masculine sense is spiritual discipline. It's the strength to stay centered when everything around you pulls for reaction. It's the confidence to listen without losing direction, to empathize without absorbing chaos, to love without needing to be loved back the same way. That's not indifference, that's power. Think about it, women test not to find weakness but to feel strength. They want to know that the man beside them can stand firm when emotions get heavy. When you react to every mood shift, you become unreliable. But when you remain grounded, you become magnetic. That's the paradox. The more you hold your frame, the more she relaxes into hers. In practice, this looks simple. When she's upset, don't argue, anchor. When she withdraws, don't chase, hold space. When she's emotional, don't mirror it, steady it. Your calm teaches her something words never could, that your peace is not conditional, and that in turn gives her permission to trust, to soften, to desire. It's not dominance, it's harmony. Masculine stability gives feminine emotion form. Without it, everything collapses into noise. With it, connection becomes art, a rhythm between strength and surrender, direction and flow. But here's the key: your surrender should never come at the cost of your integrity, Seneca said. He who is brave is free, and freedom in love means this: you can give deeply without losing yourself. You can care without clinging. You can love without kneeling. So remember, she doesn't need your surrender, she needs your center. Your mission, your peace, your boundaries. That's what keeps the relationship alive. Not endless compromise, but the quiet confidence that says, you can trust me to stay steady even when you can't. Because when you live that way, she won't just be drawn to you, she'll respect you. And that respect, far more than infatuation, is what keeps desire alive long after the spark fades. That's the final truth. She doesn't need you to give her everything. She needs you to be everything, stable, grounded, and free. What you've just learned isn't about control, it's about balance. It's about remembering that real power in a relationship doesn't come from chasing, pleasing, or surrendering. It comes from being grounded, from leading yourself first, and letting that strength shape the connection. Throughout this video, we've uncovered the truth. Most men forget women don't fall for chaos, they fall for calm. They don't want a man who gives them everything. They want a man who can hold his center when everything feels uncertain. That's the heart of masculine energy: quiet confidence, emotional control, and direction rooted in purpose. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They taught that mastery over others begins with mastery over self. When you control your mind, your emotions, and your reactions, you become unshakable. And in that unshakable state, you stop needing validation. You become the validation. That's the kind of strength that draws people in, not through words, but through presence. If you're ready to go deeper, to build the discipline, emotional composure, and clarity that make you magnetic, join our private Stoic membership. Inside, we break down the daily practices and frameworks that help men live with peace, purpose, and power. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We post new lessons every day, practical, grounded, and brutally honest about what it takes to be strong in a world that rewards weakness. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for doing the work most men avoid. Stay disciplined, stay calm, and keep walking the Stoic path. I'll see you tomorrow.